Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. My name is Eric Kasloff, and with me, as always, is Larry Sands. Say hello, Larry.
Hello, Larry.
How has your week been, my friend?
You know, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. What can I say? You know, actually, I've got some editing gigs on the horizon. Finishing up an editing promo, and I'm like one of my jobs, during the week is doing lighting for events and weddings and audio visual stuff. And I've got to say, if anybody would like to go to my Instagram and check out some of my lighting design, I'm really proud of what I have.
Really good stuff, man. You've learned that so quickly in like what, a year?
Yeah. And actually, so I take stuff like when we do production and stuff and on set, but really with event lighting, you could be so much more creative, because obviously when you're on set, it's, usually, but also that's what I'm doing with my Christian project. The Christian movie I'm doing is using some light and just really being creative with it. So I'm super excited. And thank you, by the way, for saying that, Eric. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
So nah, man, I'm really cool. Yeah.
All right.
How are you?
I'm doing good. This is something we've talked about before. Again, me and Larry, you're one of my best friends, and we don't just talk on the show. We've known each other for way too long, going on 20 years. Now that we're doing the podcast, it's hard to have conversations because I want to bring up stuff, but I want to wait and hold it for the show. So
I know that.
About a week or 10 days ago, I was explaining to someone, what I do, make movies and podcasts. I explained the podcast that I do it with someone else, and this person goes to me and says, "Which one of you is Ed McMahon?" And Larry, I looked it up, dude. Ed McMahon was awesome. He had Star Search. He had Publishers Clearinghouse. So there's nothing wrong with being Ed McMahon, right, Larry?
I no. And wait, you are correct, sir. I think that was one of his catchphrases. So he's a, "You are correct, sir."
See, wow, that was great, Larry.
Thank you very much. That's hilarious, though.
Give us a "Here's Eric."
Okay, ready? Okay, wait. And welcome to the Something Something podcast. And now, here's Eric.
That's the only intro we're going to use now.
I think that would be awesome. And so what we could say is, here's Eric and Larry.
Well, more like...
And then you could say...
More like, and Larry.
Yeah, and Larry. Wait a minute. Wait, what? No, you can't do that to me, Eric. You can't. I'm going to call my union.
Larry.
What?
Someone else just walked into your studio, and I think you know who it is.
Oh, hey. Oh, wait, here he comes. Click, 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 click. Close the door. See, you like my sound effects? Hey, everybody. My name is Segway Sam, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. Now, we've heard Eric and Larry go on and on and on about their day. Now, let's introduce our next guest. All the way from Vicente, where are you from again?
I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, but I now live in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, hold it right there. Originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and residing in Portland, Oregon, the one, the only, Vicente! How was that?
That was excellent.
You sound like the old Bulls announcer from back in the 90s.
Right.
Oh, nice. See, that's a good one. Oh, no, number 23. So cool. That's awesome. Vicente, I would like to first say thank you. Thank you very much for joining us on our show.
Well, thank you.
And I don't want to Oh, you're welcome. I don't want to start right off the bat, but I'd like to ask and talk about your profession right now and what you do, because I think this is like one of the most interesting things that a person could have as a job. And if you would be so kind as to let everybody know out there listening, what is your day job?
My day job is that I supervise the park ranger program for the city I live in now. So that means I'm a park ranger.
Wow.
That is very cool. Now, like during the day, I'm thinking of all the like questions and stuff. But one of the main things about being a park ranger, I think, nobody, unless you really are into being, in the wilderness and wanting to follow a program, we, the public, really see a park ranger as somebody that greets us when we go into a national park. And they are kind of like, the first person they see. But it's so much more than that. I was reading your bio, and then you have a website, which will be on the link will be on the description. But
awesome website, by the way. I just really want to point that out. It is so cool.
Yes. And we will get to that. But I think all this builds up to what your moonlighting job, and I put it in air quotes. But it being, what is it entail being a park ranger? What all do you do?
Well, not only I, but thousands of public servants that call themselves park rangers, not only in the nation, but around the world. We literally put our best foot forward each day to provide our customer base with any historical information they need, any safety information they need, and most importantly, just general conversation. Hello, how you doing? How can I make you smile today? So we usually have to, because we wear a uniform, we usually have to get through that first barrier of letting people know that we're not the sheriff or anyone else. And after we get through that, we usually we're trained to engage with people and try to pull the best out of them.
Because I would think if somebody has a bad experience with like a park ranger or an employee, no matter how great the scenery and all the awesome stuff they see is, they're just going to think about that guy who was rude to them when they came into the park. So you're sort of like a spokesman, not just for the park, but for your state in a lot of ways, right?
In a lot of ways we are. They call us ambassadors, if you will. So park rangers break down on many different levels. Larry already mentioned that there's national park rangers when you go to national parks or a national monument. You have state park rangers when you go to campgrounds, when you want to go camping. And then you have, what my position is, an urban park ranger. And that's where we have 144 in our park system, parks in an urban environment that, police don't have an opportunity to get to all those different situations that happen in 144 parks. So with that being said, sometimes we do have to give people information that they don't want to hear. But the most important thing is that we start at giving them information first so that they can make the right choice if they choose to do that.
Okay.
Wow. I tell you, and to all the public service employees and park services and everything, I think you just did a fantastic job on summing up who you guys are and what you do. So I think it's great, and I can hear like in your voice how proud you are of your position and what you do, and I think it's great. As a matter of fact, what made you decide to become a park ranger?
That's a great question, Larry. So how I got into the profession, I've been in public service or public safety, if you will, for the last 15, 20 years. And ultimately, I was on the track to try to become a police officer. That was something that I wanted to do. My brother, I'm number 10 of 11 children by the
Oh
same
my
parent.
goodness.
Yeah, number 10 of
Wow.
11. And one of my brothers is actually a sheriff in Maryland, a deputy sheriff. So I was on a law enforcement track, if you will, and I just saw this park ranger opportunity by happenstance and wanted to get into it to try to use it as a stepping stone to move into law enforcement. But once I got into it, I realized that a lot of my passions align. One, customer service; two, working with children; three, being an educator; and four, just being a person that likes to engage with people. I stuck around longer than I anticipated. So I now consider this my profession and look to try to get better at it each day. And I mean, I literally stand on the shoulder of giants. So there's many park rangers that came before myself. There are many park rangers that are doing fantastic things throughout the nation. And I'm just one fraction of a representation of all of these guys from all different cultures and all different backgrounds that try to go out and service the parks, because the parks is a community place, right? Everybody comes to the parks.
Well,
Yep.
and it's something that I'll be honest about. Most people don't really think about park rangers that much. I mean, I'll be honest, the only thing I knew about park rangers was stopping Yogi from getting picnic baskets. That's where my knowledge begins and ends. And I was going to ask, have you ever had to stop a bear from getting a picnic basket?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, one, if I had a nickel for every Yogi reference, I could retire from a park ranger today. But two, in our urban parks, we don't deal with bears that often, but we did get a call for service about a black bear the other day in one of our parks. So,
Oh, wow.
I don't usually go in after those. We call, Fish and Game and Wildlife, our partners, to come deal with that. But no bears for me.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Good. But
How?
Go on, Larry. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, go ahead.
But again, in all seriousness, it is an important thing, our national parks and community parks, because it is a gathering place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much so that we forget the importance of it.
Exactly.
It's like, your big toe. Without your big toe, you can't walk.
Right.
But we're so used to it always being there, we don't understand the importance of it. And in this day and age, when we're indoors so much, we forget how important it is to have a gathering place where you could stop looking at your phone and just take nature. And that's especially this generation. Like, I had my nephews here a little while ago. I honestly don't think they know what a real tree looks like unless they're killing it in Fortnite.
Right. I mean, it's a literal problem the nation faces, right? Getting kids back outdoors and parks. And I mean, from my project perspective, sometimes, parks aren't that accessible to everybody. Everybody don't have parks, or parks in different communities aren't really the place to be because of whatever community nuisance issue is that community's dealing with. So when you talk about a gathering place, our role is to make sure that everybody can come to that place and, chill, have a good time.
Yeah.
And no one else should be disrupting no one else's good time. And if we could do that, when you talk about the accessibility of parks, you're talking about grandmas and grandpas, you're talking about little kids on playgrounds, you're talking about bike riders, dog walkers, joggers.
Yeah.
You're talking about wheelchairs, people that, get around in a wheelchair. So, I mean, they're literally accessible to everybody. So it's important to have that balance when people get there and somebody that can help regulate that in the best fashion.
Wow. So you keep, so now I think would be a good, so let's fast forward to your moonlighting job, which is an author.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about, because I think it's super interesting in the way on your website that you know, your inspiration for your for writing your, and this isn't just a book, and the cat's out of the bag. This is a really great children's book. And on your website, you know, it has illustrations on there that just, it looks absolutely awesome and amazing and engaging. And so you've taken your passion as a park ranger, and you created this children's book. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, a little bit about it, and cut me off, Eric, if I start rambling too long, because, you know, as park rangers, we tend to do that.
Well, ramble all you want.
Well, I mean, just to start with, like, what kind of inspired me to do the project, right? Obviously, my profession, my parents who've exposed me. My father, who was a African American farmer from Mississippi.
Wow.
And my mother grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, so she was a city slicker, if you will. So that was just like a coming together of two different backgrounds, if you will. And my father always had a passion for us to be outdoors. He moved to Nebraska, where he married my mother and had all of his family, but he always had a longing to go back to the farm where he came from and really expose us to that environment. So I think that was the early seed that was planted in me about being outdoors and being, you know, having a passion, which made me become a ranger, just even more of an opportunity. But beyond that, the workers in the industry, when I first got in, I told you I wanted to be a police officer, but just the sheer brilliance of the parks workers that I work with, who design and plan parks, who do data on trying to figure out who's not getting the best accessibility, and how they can get that accessibility, you know, from lifeguards and how they're trained to save people's lives. I mean, it's endless on all the contributors. So I was inspired by them. Once I got in to do my role as a ranger, I'm like, hey, I'm on the front lines. I got to do my part too. Yeah. But after learning the history of parks, in Portland, Oregon here, we've had a former parks director, and he was a city commissioner named Charles Jordan. He was an African-American guy, and he had a foothold here locally, but he had a national presence in parks and recreation. And what he was really trying to do over, 25, 30 years ago, before I even thought about parks, was really trying to make parks more diverse, more accessible to more people. So I think my work in doing this book is a culmination of all those things, from my parents, from the work and the training that I've received in the industry, to the work of Charles Jordan, who really paved the way for guys like myself to take advantage of the opportunity. Two more inspirations. I mean, I go all the way back to like John Muir. John Muir, one of the early naturalists in our community, and Aldo Leopold. I mean, those two guys, from what they did, I'm reading this book called A Sand Country Almanac by Aldo Leopold. And this is just a naturalist guy, just writing basic stuff on how we can go outside and how we can observe that environment and really understand more about ourselves. So marrying all those things, I saw an opportunity. And we've already identified in recreation that, it's not accessible to certain communities. Don't recreate as much as others. So I saw an opportunity, because I've been so blessed to, benefit from nature, experience the healing power of nature, and really grow over the past 5 years from doing this work. So I wanted kids at an early age, not wait until they're almost 40 like me. I actually am 40, before they really started to bond in this manner. And in particular for our community, it could alleviate some health concerns that we deal with, like high blood pressure and hypertension. Just from a little wellness and a little getting outside could help change. So I was like, let's start from the beginning. Let's get kids re-inspired, get them off the screen and back outdoors. And then the nature will take care of the rest. We just got to get them there.
Amen to that. Wow.
Wow,
So
that's very cool. It's like Eric said, kids these days, they don't get out, they don't do anything
Mm-hmm.
except play video games. They're always texting. And well, I mean, we can get in a whole bunch of things, but
Mm-hmm.
and
it's such
also
like a
these kids
sterile
won't get
world.
off our lawns, guys. They're always
Right,
on our
right.
lawn.
Right. But I mean, but that's the thing. I think this book serves a purpose, numerous services and a purpose. But one is to really to say, and this is one of the things that reading on your website and in your bio, it's really it's not about the wilderness. It's about your own backyard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I think that's where people get lost, or they don't sometimes they just don't make connections because they think wilderness, oh, I got to go to the
Right.
woods, I don't have
Exactly.
time, you know. But right
Exactly.
in your own backyard,
Mm-hmm.
it's for the lack of a better term, it is the wilderness because it's so new and it's so vibrant with living things. And I mean, reading your bio, everything clicks, and it's authors like you that have taken it upon yourself to not just sit by and
Mm-hmm.
idly, hey, everybody, come on, but you've created this great little project for not only kids, but adults to where they'll go, oh my goodness, this is great. And it's kind of like a whole bonding experience also for like a parent to go out with their kids, and obviously that's my takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you said, it serves, it serves, and it serves, like you mentioned as well, for as particularly the African American community,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you know obviously it's everywhere, but even more particular in the um, urban wilderness, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak a little bit about what you hope that parents and the kids in these urban communities can take away from this?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Just one thing you said made me think of it. It's amazing, starting in your backyard. How much? I mean, if you think about it yourself, how often does a bird calling is just like white noise to us? Like we hear it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's just a bird. Like it's like, okay, are you really listening? Like, what type of bird is it? Like, what is the bird doing? Like, I mean, and I mean that's coming into this field and doing this work, it really re-inspired me to kind of reevaluate nature in that way. Like looking at, like, people use the terminology tree hugger. I've actually become a real life tree hugger. Like I go up to trees and I talk to them and I hug them and I feel them, and because they've been around for a while, so they got some wisdom that I don't have.
And
But
if it wasn't,
Wow.
and
my
without
hope
trees, we would all be dead.
Exactly. That's what I thank them all the time. So with this hope, Larry, with the project, from my own passions, is that I know, I've had a healing process through nature. Both of my parents, I mean, just last year, they both passed away in 2017.
I know the feeling, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. It was going through this process in nature and going bird watching and really using nature as a healing factor for my life and my own personal circumstance. It was beneficial to me. It helped me dive into this project and like dive into creating new life. There was a lot of people that helped me with this. Of course, my sister, who is a published author, and she's a playwright. So of course, when I started to talk to her about the ideas, she kind of pushed me along the way, like you're really onto something, and you really need to pursue this. Everyone talks about the illustrations. Everyone talks about the website. That's done by my niece. She is a
What?
Wow.
graphic designing student. Her name is Chandler Jackson, and she actually did the whole website, did the character just based up off of the writings that I shared with her and just speaking with her about what I wanted to do. So again, tying it back on how I wanted to impact the community. I go into these urban parks and I deal with all different races of kids, but particularly in the African-American community, we got urban parks down. We like to go and, shoot hoops or play some baseball. We have a barbecue, play some music, but also with that confined of an environment, there's bound for conflict. Even in a peaceable environment, there's conflict in a park when you have those environments. So you shouldn't just limit your recreational experience to those confines. And there's a whole array, literally the world is your canvas. And when you get out to these trails, when you get out to these lookout points, when you get out to these groves where the trees and the breeze is blowing and the fresh air is there, and you start to see wildlife that doesn't exist in an urban environment, that healing takes place. Some of the angers we face, some of the conflicts we face from being in confined environments for months and years at a time in some cases, when we get out and take time to get out the box, if you will, it'll give us time and space to think and reevaluate things so that we can come back in and subside a lot of conflicts and differences and really move forward with life and health and growth as the main motivation. So that's what my hope is for the work in the community. Like, get kids really getting introduced to nature, and once they get introduced, nature's gonna do the rest. Yeah. It will take care of the rest. But before we introduce them, let's make sure they go out there and know how to responsibly do it, so that they don't hate it because they got their new $150 Jordans dirty, or they got their Gucci shirt torn up. Let's prepare them with the right gear. Let's prepare them with the right mindset. Let's limit the electronics so that we can go out there and actually benefit. And one more thing, this is my rambling I told you about, Eric.
Go on, go on.
One more thing, us actually being inside, there's a thing, they call it earthing. I mean, back in the day, man, we didn't have shoes, we didn't have houses. Our feet touch the surface earth all the time. And if you think about it, we go months now, sometimes years, without actually physically touching earth, physically touching nature. So going out barefooted, I mean, I'm compelled to do it now when I go to the beach. Obviously, that's the easy place to do it. But when I go into grass, fresh grass, connecting your feet to the earth. And I mean, I encourage anybody to do that for 20 or 30 minutes and tell me if you don't physically feel better after that experience surpasses. So.
Well, a lot of stuff you said has really been hitting home to me. And I just want to say one quick thing before we get back into the questions. You made the point about your parents passing away recently. My dad and grandma passed away recently also, and they planted seeds in my life of things that have made me who I am. And you made the point about the seeds your father planted in you. Now, your book isn't just a book. This book is going to plant seeds in young people that are going to make them see the world in such a completely different way. I mean, again, you might look at it as just a kid's book, but 20 years from now, there's going to be park rangers who decided to become one because of this book that you wrote. Now, did my 10 years in youth ministry slip out there again, Larry?
It did.
Sorry,
but you're so but you're so right. I mean, and that's what I mean. Everybody that we have talked to have been like a blessing to us. Being able to listen to you guys about having day jobs and then pursuing your career, your moonlighting career, your real passion. And just like Eric said, I mean, and it was perfect. I couldn't put it better myself about the seed. I mean, you've continued planting a seed that your parents planted in you, and it will go on forever. So I just, we're not over yet by a long shot, but I just want to say thank you for sharing everything with us. Your creativity and your life, everything.
Now, to add on about the book, the illustrations, like we said, were awesome. It looks very much something like I would have saw on Reading Rainbow when I was a kid.
LeVar
Now,
Burton.
exactly, yeah. Best episode, the one where they went behind the scenes on Star Trek: The Next Generation, but we'll have that conversation later. What's the story exactly of the book? Can you tell us about the cute little character who's on the
Yeah.
cover? And again, link to the webpage will be in the description.
Excellent. So the guy's name is Harrison, right? I mean, my creativity limits so far. I couldn't think of a better name than that.
Hey, I think Harrison Ford when I hear that, so that's awesome.
So little Harrison is a guy that, he has some, good parents, they raised him right. He's a inquisitive little fellow. By the books in his room, he likes to read about science and about different subjects. So he's a nature guy. I mean, he has a recycling poster. He has a little tree lamp in his room, but he also likes sports, so he likes a basketball. But either way, that's besides the point. This little guy wakes up one morning and decides, with his new set of binoculars that, he wanted to go outside and just look around, basically like, all right, I'm a kid. I don't have anything to do. I've played basketball, I've played with my truck, I've played with my iPad and played the Xbox and everything else. But now I want to go outside and actually look and see what's out there with my new binoculars. So he literally just gets permission from his parents after he does his chores, goes out the back door. Like he says, he creeps out like a spy and begins to notice things right away, whether it's the flowers and the bushes, whether it's the leaves. I think we've all had that experience when we were a kid where leaves are just doing that little twirly spin. And we've seen that, and we've always wondered since we were a kid, like, man, what's causing that? But, it usually stops about there. But, I mean, he experiences all these things. He noticed the birds singing. He felt the breeze blowing through his hair. And from all those things, he's like, I really never noticed it. All this is in my backyard. I never really paid attention to it. And by the time he, continued to absorb everything that was coming at him, it's time to go inside. And he was so excited about his day that he wanted to continue his exploration adventures. And I think his next adventure in this book series, is he's going camping next. So,
yeah, I noticed that in the coming soon section, it's I Know Camping is going to be the title for the next one.
Yep, going camping. Little Harrison is going to get his friends together and, go camping, which is an experience that, again, one of those introductory experiences. We wanted to start in the backyard, kind of encourage people to, something that they could grasp, and then take them to the next level. Let's go camping. Let's get out and go away from home and find a good place. I mean, the project, I don't want to give out too much, but I'm really going some places with the project to really try to draw. It's a fictional story, but I'm trying to draw on history. Like I want to highlight, the Buffalo Soldiers and just different characters, maybe Marcus Garvey, Planetarium. I'm giving out too much already, but
yeah.
Wow.
Spoiler warnings.
Yeah, there's some different things I want to, just kind of bring to light, but through his exploration experience. So,
wow.
It's a kid's book, but it's a roadmap. I mean, I really put the pictures of me and my family in the back of the book to encourage, like to show, like, hey, I'm not just writing about it. Like, we are out here doing this. It's helpful.
Yeah. So. Yep. And one of the big things, obviously, because I have a kid, and one of the big things I always hear is, I'm bored. Exactly. I'm bored. And now anybody who has a child listening to this, to our podcast can now go, you know what? I'm going to get you a pair of binoculars, and I'm going to get you hiking boots, and you can go out right in the backyard so you don't have to be bored.
Exactly.
And I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, because the thing is, going to a big park is awesome and beautiful, but having a kid with a great imagination going into their backyard is the backyard to a 5-year-old with a good imagination is the biggest national park in the galaxy.
That's how we grew up.
Yeah.
That's how we grew up.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up in the little wooded areas, and I mean the sidewalks and the stop signs. Everything was a landmark in our imagination. So, you know, just kind of reinvigorating that experience that you don't have to have money, you don't have to travel far, you're bored. So this book coming out in the summertime, especially, you know, you want kids reading in the summer. You don't want them in all the time. I mean, the questions at the end of the book are really, you know, trying to help educators or parents really help kids kind of be engaged with reading. Like, what did you see? What do you hear? What do you think? So all those things are uber intentional to try to engage kids to not only explore nature, but use, you know, the education process and literacy to do something else besides be lazy.
Yeah. So
man, congratulations doing all this. I mean, wow.
One thing you mentioned earlier was, you know, the term tree hugger, which, you know, is used as a way to bust somebody's chops sometimes. But do you think that was especially with young boys looking at, you know, going outside and exploring nature is seen as like a weak type of habit? And have you seen a lot of that, or am I completely off?
Well, like park rangers, what we do, what we like to do is give more information. There's always more to the story.
Okay.
So what I would say to that kid, say that you were that kid, you know, Eric, and you were talking to me like, yeah, nature's, you know, that's for, you know, nerds, whatever. I'm going to tell you, I'm like, hey, Eric, you know, everybody started out the tree hugger. You never climbed a tree when you were younger? Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Okay. Well, you know, when you climb that tree, you got to think about that tree has been growing there, providing shade. It provides oxygen. It provides an activity for you to do. So tree hugging ain't a nerdy thing, man. It's actually something that we all do, but we just need to get back to doing that. Yeah. Instead of ignoring that tree now after we climbed it a couple times, we need to get back to really appreciating that tree because it's going to be there for the next 25, 30, 40 years. If we take care of it.
Yeah, and I think as soon as you could explain it to a kid that something they don't think is cool, it again opens their eyes to a whole completely new world of awesomeness that's right at their fingertips. Because people, I have Instagram, we all have it, and sometimes we're so focused on taking a great picture of something, we don't experience it.
Right. Like, that's profound, what you just said. Were you going to say something, Larry, before I make this next point? Because Eric hit on something that I wanted to talk about, because that when you talk about technology, I mean, that's actually in the book. I talked about it, you know, try to limit your phone or camera use for emergencies. Our technology most times frightens wildlife and distracts us from family, from each other, from enjoying the natural scene around us. So that's just the point you hit on. Like, we can become distracted and you know, sometimes I work in parks, right? We'll have people drive up right to the best rose or the best tree, the best lookout point in the Uber. They'll get out, snap a selfie or snap some picture nonchalantly looking at it, and then they jump back in the car and they leave. And it's just like they really miss out on what they really could have benefited from if they would have taken time and really let it sink in, let it all sink in, sensory-wise, let it all sink in.
Exactly.
You know, and that's one of the things, you know, obviously coming from an actor's standpoint, and even an artist in general, whether you're, you know, an author, a painter, you just, as an artist, you want to go and you want to, especially as an actor, you want to go feel. You want to go out there and be a part of it. Right. And what I like to do, you know, I love to take pictures of sunsets, of mountains, of trees, but also that's really good. That's in my phone. I can look at it. I could post it. But what I really like to do is take moments, because life is really like moments, you know, and you take those moments. Yeah, you're there. And it's just
But
you
are you
like
there?
when
Excuse me.
right. But see, that's where you take your phone, you put it away, and you
Right.
just are there.
Just
You're
take the
with your
moment.
family.
Take the moment.
Absolutely, and you smell it, and you have
Mhm.
the air, hit you, and everything. You're just surrounded by this wonderful, wonderful nature, or wherever you are, and you just let it affect you in such a great way. And I must say, there is something to be said when your feet touch the ground, the actual
Mhm.
ground without
Mhm.
shoes,
Right.
and you feel it, and there's, because earth, it's like it is a living thing, and you
Exactly.
can feel the energy,
Right.
and you let it kind of overtake you, but you have to learn, because now people are going to go, I'm going to go take my shoes off and go step out, I don't feel nothing, and in 3 minutes go back in and go, oh. But
Exactly.
see,
Exactly.
you have to learn to take it in, and learn to listen, and learn to feel. And I think that's a lot of what everybody's missing, myself included. But I tell you, man, you have got a great thing, and a giant undertaking that is so exciting to hear how you're taking this, and you're not just doing it, you're living it. And I can hear by your voice and the way that you're describing everything, you have such a
Passion.
love and a passion for what you do, and it's just such a beautiful thing, man. I mean, my gosh.
Well,
Oh,
I appreciate
yeah,
it. Well, I mean,
So,
yeah.
and one last question before we're getting ready to wrap up. Do you see your series as just being a book series, or as you were saying, the next step, would you like to see it become like an animated film or something along those lines?
well, obviously, there's no limits with anything that when you talk about creativity and really trying to put something before the world, right? Right now, my focus is just trying to deliver a great product for kids, a great product for parents, grandparents, teachers, to begin the conversation with kids, or like Larry alluded to, for a bonding experience for parent and kid to go out and just kind of revisit some things that they may have lost, what they either had, like we never, not even me as a ranger, I don't get enough time out there. I want more time on the trails. I want more time with my family, in a natural environment. So hopefully this project can do that. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I would like to see, I'm actually planning, for this little guy here, Harrison, to be made into a figure where I'm gonna be taking his photo out in nature.
Awesome.
And then, I mean, and from there, because and I did some background on you guys too. I know you guys are interviewing me, but I did my background on you too as well. And I know you are both very well respected
Hey,
filmmakers and
those
actors.
pictures of me and the squirrel were forged, all right? He started it, if anything.
but I've done some acting as well in my background too. So I mean, if there's an opportunity for him to be animation, or just a child to I envision him as like a little backpack buddy where you can take him on a camping trip with you,
Yeah,
and kind of
totally.
help
Oh,
remind you about what you read about in the book, to keep that inspiration going. So of course, all those things are on the horizon, but first things first. And I really appreciate you guys again. I mean, this is the first platform I've had publicly to really talk about the project. I mean, I did some other local things here, but I know radio and podcasts are, you have a unlimited audience. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you, Larry and Eric, for taking the time to speak with me and talk about the project. So
Hey, thank you for
absolutely.
being on the show, man. I always say when we have writers on the show, Larry, I feel like we're mature now. Like, like we're
I
on
know. I
horror
know.
or something. Because usually it's, people I know who make other horror movies like, yeah, blood and guts. But then we get
Right, right.
writers on and it's like, man, we're being respectable right now. We've got real talented people on.
well,
Well, yeah, exactly.
I relate to both of you guys, because I mean, I know that the Adjusting Honor film that Larry has worked on and acting in, that post-traumatic stress syndrome. My father was a military veteran,
Oh,
and
wow.
he
Oh,
dealt with some
wow.
of that. And
Wow.
a lot of the veterans that we deal with in parks deal with that, and we actually
Wow.
train our
Wow.
rangers we train our rangers on people that are going through those experiences and how to have patience when you're dealing with individuals that you encounter in our parks with that. And so on the Eric side of things, you know, not everything's rosy in parks all the time. So there's definitely a dark side to some of the things we see. And I can't really talk about that right now, but you know, I definitely could share some stories offline.
Well, actually,
do like a special Patreon called Off Mic Conversations,
right.
and it'll just
that
be
would be
all
great.
the stuff we can't talk about on the regular.
Oh, that would be awesome. And actually, what I wanted to say first and foremost, I don't want to freak you out, but we just had our first international guest on, and it's for a film festival in Australia. And so we are now a worldwide podcast. Happy to say, yes. But really, more importantly, I want to thank you and your dad
so much
for his service. And
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. You really are such an inspiration. And I not only want to have you back to talk about anything you want to talk about. If your new book, if you have a book. Oh, and I should say it is available on Amazon right now. You can get it, and we'll put it in the link in the bio, in the description. But I really would like to have you back and talk about your park ranger service or what you do, and because I think it's very important to pass that on to the younger generation. And it's like we said when we were at the front of the show, you know, and just to get people involved and interested. So I'd love to have you back, and we can talk about, if you want to, we can talk about some of the dark side stuff, but really about the history and everything that you love sharing with families and kids about being a park ranger. So I'd love to have you back for sure.
I appreciate that. And you guys are the first ones to have me, and it's almost a standing invitation now. Anytime you want me, you can have me. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Whenever you guys want me back, I'm here, and I definitely got more stories to talk about, and we can go. Oh, my last point while I was spinning in thought right there. When I get in front of kids with this project, I'm very dynamic in front of the students when I'm talking about this stuff. So that's really my ultimate goal as well, is to get in the platform in front of students with the book, read it to them, take them on a hike, and really give them some firsthand experience with the natural environment, you know, with the ranger as a escort. So
awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, and I think that is the perfect way to end the episode this week. What about you, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, I could just go on, but we don't have the hours to sit, and I could just go really. I'll leave it at this. Vicente, you are an inspiration, not only to me, but your story and what you're doing. So thank you.
I appreciate it,
and
Larry.
Since we are banking all of our shows now, if we didn't mention anything tragic or good that happened,
thank you.
It's because we recorded it before it happened. But I got to take one quick minute. Anyone who knows me knows I am a huge professional wrestling fan, and we lost one of the greats this week. And I do want to mention this, and that is Big Van Vader, one of the greatest big men to ever grace the squared circle. So rest in peace to him and to his family. Thank you for allowing him to entertain us for so many years. And with that, everyone, have an awesome, safe, and happy week or weekend.